sort of what is Lethwei and what makes that so exciting as a martial
Uh,
art?
Lethwei is the art of 9 limbs, and it has been around for close to a millennium, and it originated from where Myanmar is right now, and it's a form of striking combat sport and has punches, kicks, knees, and elbows. But what differentiates Lethwei from other striking martial arts is the use of headbutts, and that fighters and athletes compete in without gloves on. Um, and it's been really popular in Myanmar for a long time. And now it's with World Lethwei Championship, what we are doing is trying to show it to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think it's, I've seen quite a few matches myself, and including WLC, and it's really exciting. I think even the small countryside ones are just as exciting with a different set of fans and things like that. But so much of it centers on the athlete and the fighter themselves, and
Right.
you can really tell they're putting everything they have into that.
I think also the way Lethwei is structured, it encourages you to try to go for the knockout. And because they've been taught to go for the knockout over decades from their teachers and their teachers of their teachers, the style of striking that's evolved is really specific to increase power and how you set up that big single shot that you want to end the fight with, rather than a jab that scores a point and you move away.
Right.
So it makes for a more exciting fight, if you ask me.
I agree with you, and I'm surprised too. The more I learn about it, the more technical it is when you really dig into the techniques and the combinations and really the ability. Because I think for myself, not wearing gloves really makes so many different body parts weapons than if you had gloves on.
Yep, I think it's the truest form of martial arts, and the techniques you see is unorthodox because you're in other martial arts you're so confined to a specific set of parameters and guidelines that you have to follow. And in Lethwei, there's more expression, and you see them throw punches, kicks, and elbows from really weird angles, and sometimes it's just a setup for something else, but it comes from a bunch of different angles that people are usually not used to.
Yeah, that's cool. So in the U.S., most people, or most fighters, or most people who train martial arts are familiar with Muay Thai, and I think, rightly or wrongly, most of the Southeast Asian martial arts that are striking get lumped into Muay Thai. So, if someone is a fighter here and they've been training Muay Thai and they've been successful, does that immediately translate over into Lethwei, or how would someone who's got some good skills in that, how would they do, or how would they prepare to maybe fight Lethwei?
I feel like it's a completely different sport, and you see a lot of people transition from Muay Thai to Lethwei, but the two sports have a history that goes back all the way to the beginning. Like we can go back to the history books and study who won the war using each specific martial art. But it's a completely different sport. You see in Muay Thai, the way the judging system works and the way World Lethwei Championship adopts a judging system is completely different. And it's reflected in how the sport plays out. So a Lethwei fighter against a Muay Thai fighter in Muay Thai rules, the Muay Thai fighter is always going to win. But if a Muay Thai fighter, even the best Muay Thai fighter, comes to Lethwei, the Lethwei fighter is always going to win. That's just how it's set up. And I think if for any fighter that wants to fight Lethwei in the future, there's not enough Lethwei gyms in the world, and that's something we're trying to change. But right now, the best solution would probably to be like find 5 techniques that work and adapt your skills to fit into Lethwei.
Okay, that's cool. And your plans for the next 6 months? I'm not even going to ask longer term than that, or maybe
Yeah.
even 6 months is too long. But what are WLC's plans, and what are you have in the pipeline?
Yeah, we were supposed to go to like 2020 was supposed to be the year of international expansion, and we had these grand plans for the US, for Japan, for Thailand, and for Cambodia. And we've actually announced the date for the Cambodia show that was supposed to be last month. We had everything set up, and we had everything set up in these other cities as well. We were going to do our event in Florida. We were going to do it in Tokyo. We were going to do it in Bangkok. And of course, everything changed. But we still have the venues locked in. We still have our sponsors locked in, our broadcast partners locked in. We'll definitely try to fulfill that Cambodia show this year, and potentially move the rest of the shows to sometime in 2021.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I mean, Florida has kind of emerged as the place to do martial arts now. When everywhere else is closed, it seems.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite interesting to see. For us, when as a completely new sport, talking to the commissioner, the state commission, talking to the people who have done combat sports in each different state, and understanding how legislation in the US works. A lot of people are very apprehensive about introducing Lethwei to the US, but we are basically at that point where the UFC was at 20 years, more than 25 years ago. And right now it's mainstream. It's on ESPN, everybody knows about it. And we're at that trajectory. And people have craved and yearned for an alternative combat sports that brings back the rawness of what got them hooked on martial arts to begin with. And I think that's where Lethwei can feel that space within the sports industry.
You have Myanmar fighters on your roster, but you have a lot of foreigners or international people. What kind of cards are you looking to fill up?
The way we see it is we want to get the best striking martial artists in the world. And if you think you're the best in boxing, if you think you're the best in karate, if you think you're the best in Muay Thai, then if there's only one true place where we don't really confine you to your boundaries, and Lethwei is the best place to test each martial art against each other. And right now, how we find our foreign fighters are we just find champions from each discipline, and what you see is the best guys, the world champions from this discipline. Some of them do really well, and some of them don't. And the best guys are the ones that adapt to the rules and incorporate some Lethwei techniques to what they're doing already, what they're already good at. So if like for us, World Lethwei Championship is always looking for more athletes, more world champions to join us. So if you're a world champion in whatever martial art you're in, and you have an interest to test yourself and prove yourself, then this is as cheesy as this is the ultimate proving ground.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I have to say that sort of your headline fights are exciting. Your ring announcer, John Nutt, makes everything even more exciting. But even some of the undercards, the young Myanmar guys,
right,
fighting can be just as exciting and get the crowd going as a co-main event or something like that.
Right. And the thing is, with World Lethwei Championship, we have 4 events a year. So everybody in Lethwei wants to be on one of these 4 events.
Yeah.
So the undercard is usually a bunch of 19, 20-year-old guys who nobody know of yet, but in 10 years, these are the guys that are going to be the superstars of Myanmar sports. So, and this is their first big opportunity. So they are jumping on that opportunity. And the fights are really, really good. Technical, exciting, and they give all their heart, and they leave everything in the ring. And and I love to, like, for World Lethwei Championship cut, we usually have 7 fights, and usually you have to come early and catch the first fight, and because there might be an amazing fight right from the very beginning.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That was definitely my experience at the most recent one, Battle Bones.
Yeah, WLC Battle Bonds in Yangon in January.
Yeah, but you know, from a fighter's perspective, one or two of these young guys or girls, it can really change your life too. You know, getting sort of called up to the big show, making a lot more money than they would on the regular, you know, a regular Lethwei match. You know, is that part of what you're doing, or you know, the WLC mission to help change people's lives like
Yeah,
that?
we're at the end of the day, we're still a business, but from the very first day, that was something that the founders and investors that set up WLC strive to do. The industry needed a kick, and it needed to change how it's been doing things for decades. And a lot of the reasons why the fighters are struggling sometimes is because they just don't have enough income to sustain a proper training regime. So one couple of things that World Lethwei Championship did is we gave athletes a nutrition plan. We had one time where we gave out free chickens for an entire year. And also we incorporate sports science where to all the top athletes in World Lethwei Championship, we had a doctor take their blood sample and their x-rays, and through biological testing and through science, they can find out which one athlete is more, his body structure is more suited for endurance. Then he can change his workout. He can plan how his fighting style based on that. And some people have stronger hands, some people have stronger legs, and we give that information to these fighters, so
Wow.
they can be the best that they can be.
That's really interesting, because you know, that's something I've seen in my experience with Myanmar and Cambodia fighters, is it just isn't a level playing field for the
Yep.
local guys and the foreign fighters who have access to training techniques, nutrition, doctors, pretty much everything that's available, even, you know, even to just a regular fighter trying to make it is very different.
Yep. And if you get all of this information, then you're motivated to do the most with the information rather than just competing for paycheck.
Yeah,
and that's what we want to motivate these athletes to do.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, Gerald, I hope things get back to normal, or at least something where we can see some more fights and see some more events and shows and things like that. So good luck to you for the next few months, and I can't wait to see you again in Yangon or wherever we can cross paths.
Yeah, likewise. Stay safe, and hope you and your family are well in this time.
All right, you
And
too.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. It was fun. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.